NorCal Tea Party Radio is sponsored by Del Rapini. Del has been involved with the Tea Party since April of 2009. A retired developer, Del has a passion to serve and restore his country to her fundamental principles. This is just one way that he has chosen to accomplish his goal. Each month we need sponsors to offset the cost of this program. For information on how you can become a sponsor, go to norcalteaparty.org.
Gather here to reunite, join the revolution. We are strong and standing tall, upholding the Constitution.
Welcome back to We the People Radio, NorCal Tea Party. Thanking you for listening with us today. Our guest is Mark Montgomery. Before we get back to Mark, I want to mention to you our third anniversary rally for the Tea Party. It is called 3 and Thriving. We will be at the state capitol on Monday, February 27th at noon. For more information, go to our website at norcalteaparty.org. Welcome back, Mark.
Well, thank you. Nice to be
We're
back.
going to have to talk faster because the time goes by way too quick.
Goes way faster than you think.
Let me ask you some political questions now, but of course it deals with small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
The politics affect the small businesses. What do you think is going to happen, or what do you see happening in the 2012 election?
Well, regarding California, I don't see a lot of things changing, here in California. I really don't. It's unfortunate. All I see in California, and I do kind of focus on California, but everything nationally affects us, here in California also, so I do a lot of talking about that. But what I see happening in California is I see the EPA continuing, EPA CARB, here in California, constantly becoming more intrusive in business. I don't see that really being rolled back, other than I was happy to see, and it's going to be interesting in where it goes, with the judge's decision out of Fresno on basically stopping this cap and trade.
Yes.
The CARB aspect here in California. And, what's funny is people think I'm anti-union. I'm not anti-union. I'm 100% behind, for example, the truckers' unions right now. I hope they really fight back, on this. I'm more, the public unions need to be pushed back,
right.
On that. As far as the national scene, certainly I hope that we make big inroads. I hope this administration is kicked out. I think they've done, and I don't think necessarily irreparable, harm to the economy, but they've done a great deal of damage. And we're seeing all kinds of things happen now that are pushing to get Obama reelected,
right.
Supporting Jerry Brown here in California, statistics coming out that are skewed.
Mm-hmm.
An example of that was something that I read this morning, and it said that California, sales tax-wise, is number 12 in the nation. Now, we have one of the highest taxes, but when you kind of put everything together and average local taxes and state tax, we're 12th in the nation. That's misleading, because people are going to look at that, and they know this. They're going to look at that and say, well, that's not too bad. We're not the highest tax in the nation. We're only number 12. Well, when you start figuring everything else
all
into
the other
this,
taxes,
we're very high.
Mm-hmm.
And an example I used this morning, and these are the kinds of things that we need to be pushing back on, is that you buy a piece of equipment here in California to manufacture with, such as my company, or you buy a truck or whatever it is. Your taxes are ongoing. You may pay the sales tax, but now you have personal property, in your business, which is an ongoing tax. That's not figured into these numbers, along with many other things, such as taxes that are called fees are not figured into this. So another thing that we're seeing, and I'm saying this because people need to be aware of the deceit that's going to take place, this year. And that is, for example, GE, Jeffrey Immelt, on the national level, President Obama's job czar, is sending tens of thousands of jobs basically over to China. Now, all of a sudden, it's election year, and he's saying, we're going to hire 5,000 veterans. Well, why 5,000 veterans this year? And of course, he's saying, well, this will be a kind of a program that'll go into next year and the next year and so on. This is all smoke and mirrors.
Yes, it is.
And that's what you're going to be seeing.
Our politicians.
Yes.
Now, on California, I have a little bit of hope for California of making a few inroads. There are 11 districts in the state of California that are up for grabs. Granted, 6 lean more liberal than the others, but we still have some solid conservative candidates running in all those districts. And that's one thing that our bus tour is going to be doing, is to educate the people on that. And hopefully we can make some inroads in California. California is so far left that we're not going to change it in one or two election cycles, that's for sure. You mentioned about getting rid of the administration that we have right now, and that he hasn't done irreparable damage. But if he gets a second term, there will be no stopping him, and it will be irreparable. This is the most important election since the American Revolution.
You know what would really be irreparable, and no one is talking about it? Supreme Court appointments.
Oh, yes.
And I've not heard that in the debates, at least that I've heard anyway. I've not heard anyone talking about it yet. In my mind, that's one of the biggest items, is that if Obama has another term, just think of what he can do to the Supreme Court. That's what really worries me, bottom line. I mean, I worry about anything and everything he does. You look at, just the latest thing with the Catholic Church and everything. Right. This is a window into this person's mind. There was an article a while back, and I've spent some time on it on my program, where Obama called America lazy. If you look at what he's really saying, because I don't know a talk show host yet, or television or radio, that sees it the way I see it. I thought it was an incredible article. And the reason I say that is because people were sitting there on the radio and questioning, well, is he calling the American people lazy? Is he calling America lazy? Is he calling corporate America lazy? No, what he really was, and if you put this as the context that you read this article in, that he's calling the American system lazy, it all falls into place. Because, for example, and this is where this man is so dangerous and what he's doing, and that is that, just to put it in a nutshell, he said things would be so simple in this country, and I'm just paraphrasing here, that things would be so simple in this country if there was just one department in Washington, D.C., that if a business wanted to come in, say from China or wherever, into this country, they could just say, yes, you can locate in Sacramento, done. We give sole permission to do that. Well, all of a sudden, you just now negated your local, your state, your county, and your national approval system, basically, and whether you want this business or not, and all the various things that go into that, based on federalism, in essence. Right. The federal government saying what's going to happen and not happen when it comes to business in this country. And that's incredibly dangerous. That's basically an authoritarian type of government. Well,
and if you really look at his philosophy, you see that is his core.
Yes.
And what he truly stands for is very scary. What would you see? What would a California that Mark Montgomery saw as redeemed look like?
A right-to-work state.
Yes.
If I was just to put it in a real short context, that would be it, a right-to-work state.
Explain to the listeners what a right-to-work state is.
Well, if you really want to narrow it down, it's basically that anyone, for example, can compete in a competitive role, competing or bidding on government contracts, even, for example. Or you have in this state, which I would like to change, is where the state of California just basically collects union dues out of the people's checks. We are the collector for the unions in the state, which I really disagree with. So they collect all this money, and then they send it to the unions for their political PAC.
That's right.
So you have, whether Republicans or
it's like
Democrats.
Money laundering.
Absolutely. And we're handling it for the unions. Goes into this big pot, and the unions decide, well, we're going to support the liberal progressive Democrats, over here, and that's where that money goes. Well, what if you're libertarian or you're independent or you're Republican? And this is why the unions worry about this, because you can opt out if this was a right-to-work state. Right. You can say, you know what, I don't want to belong to this. And there's not a soul that can make you belong to it. I would like to see that, and then we would see a little more control on the unions.
The unions are very scary, and the unfunded liabilities that we are facing are also part of that union thing. We're going to have you back again because we're already out of time.
Oh my gosh.
I can't believe it. You didn't talk fast enough.
Uh-oh.
I want to thank you for listening to our show today, NorCal Tea Party presenting We the People Radio. Again, we want to mention our anniversary rally at the state capitol on February 27th. We also have a book signing for Mark Meckler's new book, Tea Party Party Patriots, the Second American Revolution. That will be on March 1st. Go to our website for more information. We also will be having another Tax Day rally, our third Tax Day rally at the state capitol on April 14th at noon. And at 2:30, we will be launching our bus tour. For more information on all these events and how you can participate by helping us with fundraising and also by attending any of our meetings, go to NorCalTeaParty.org. That's NorCalTeaParty.org. Next week, our guest will be Assemblywoman Shannon Grove. She's one of the good guys in California. There aren't too many of those, but she is one of the good ones, working closely with Tim Donnelly and trying to save our small businesses and save our economy here in California. Thank you for listening today. Have a great Sunday and be safe in everything that you do. Come back to us next week. Thank you.
Go gather, kid, reunite, join the revolution. We are strong and standing tall, upholding the Constitution.
How to get involved? Individuals who want to become part of the NorCal Tea Party Patriots by attending meetings, events, or receiving action alerts, go to our website at NorCalTeaPartyPatriots.org. By signing in as a member, you'll receive our newsletter and action alerts. So get involved. NorCalTeaPartyPatriots.org.